There's going to be a lot more. We're almost in winter meetings territory. We're nearing December when the hot stove picks up, and we're going to see a lot of player movement. We've already seen a little bit with Jose Abreu, who we'll get to in a second. But something that happened a while ago now, but I still wanted to talk about it, is Cody Bellinger, who I think I tweeted, or I think I sent this to you, John, where I was going through past MVPs, because when he got non-tendered, I was like, okay, Bellinger's gone, and obviously he's had his struggles for the last 2 years, and injuries have really ravaged his prime years, but we're less than 5 years removed from him being the Major League Baseball MVP.
We're 3 years removed from that. It has only been 3 calendar years since he won the National League MVP.
And he got non-tendered by a contender, by a team that is trying to win the title every single year. He was non-tendered. I think a team that does more insane fall from graces, right?
For a team that also does not have a center fielder ready to replace him either. Yes, it is one of the more baffling, baffling's maybe not the right word. I think a large part of what happened to Bellinger has to be tied to the shoulder injury he suffered during the 2020 World Series. I think that clearly affected him at the time, and I think it's something he's still clearly trying to work through. I think some of it too is that Bellinger was always going to be a guy because of the big swing he has, because of his propensity to be aggressive in the count, that there was always a chance that an outcome close to this was possible. But no, I don't think if you told people right after he won that MVP award, be like, hey, in 3 years this guy's going to be out of a job, and not just out of a job, but the 3 years in between now and then will be some of the least productive years offensively of any player on the face of the earth. That I don't think it's exactly a stretch to say no one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. And it really is remarkable to see what has happened to Bellinger, and the fact that almost certainly he will not be a Dodger on opening day. I think that, if LA wanted to keep him, I think there probably would have already been some move by now. And I think the plan for him probably is to try to land a 1-year pillow deal somewhere else, rebuild that value, try again next winter, hope for better, maybe in a better offensive or better park for left-handed hitters, or maybe on a team that, has a hole in center field and is just willing to let him play there, because for as bad a hitter as Cody Bellinger is right now, he's still a great defensive center fielder, one of the better ones in baseball. And that, to him hitting the market when there really aren't many good true center field options available either. Aaron Judge can play center, but I don't think that he's obviously not a long-term center fielder. He's a long-term right fielder. Brandon Nimmo is a good center fielder for the most part, but also a guy who is going to have to move off the position sooner rather than later. You're not getting a long-term center fielder out of him. Kevin Kiermaier, probably the best defender available in the center field market, but 33 years old, coming off a major injury, hasn't been an above league average hitter for pretty much the entirety of his career. So, by virtue of that, Bellinger, and the fact too, he's only 27 years old.
Yes. Feels like he's a lot older because of his body and breaking down, but it's like the man is 27.
Yeah, so I would not be surprised. I think he's easily going to get some kind of 1-year, $15 million deal somewhere, but I think that's also a reflection of just how thin this market is, and also just how thin the center field position itself has become. It's kind of moved toward the catcher end of the spectrum, where it's mostly great defenders who really can't hit. And I don't know if that's something where that's like an industry-wide thing, or if it's just kind of a fluke that we just happen to be in this weird period of non-hitting center fielders. But again, at the very least, Bellinger is such a good defender that I don't think he will have trouble finding a home necessarily. But yeah, it is wild what has happened to him, and I don't really know what the solution is for him. He struggles against high fastballs. He struggles against breaking balls. He chases a lot. The power that made him an MVP just does not seem to be there anymore. I imagine that some of that is probably the shoulder. He's just not a very selective hitter at this point, and he can't do damage on the pitches he does get. So I don't know. I mean, are we basically just seeing the white version of Jackie Bradley Jr. kind of play out here? I don't know, but I think he'll still get a job anyway, if only because there will be at least one team that thinks to itself, yeah, but what if we can fix him? Mm-hmm. Because if you can fix him, he's a 6-win player. He is, again, an MVP caliber player if you can fix him. Even if you don't fix him, you're still getting a really good defender who can run into the occasional fastball and steal bases, bury him at the bottom of the lineup if you need to. I mean, we just saw two teams make the World Series getting virtually nothing offensively out of their center fielders, except for the occasional
The
mistake
Guardians
pitch home run.
literally had a center fielder this year that did not hit a home run.
Yeah, and Miles Straw. Most teams do not get good offense from that position at this point in time. So I would not be surprised to see any contender either with a hole there, or they could use the defensive help, like a team like Toronto, for example, if they strike out on Brandon Nimmo, would make a lot of sense for Bellinger. Or a team like, I mean, depending what Boston does with the rest of its offseason, I could see Bellinger being a guy they could plug into center field and hope for a rebound and move Kike Hernandez to second base, or have him be more of a utility player all across the diamond. But either way, I don't see Bellinger staying unemployed through the offseason, but it is also just remarkable what has happened to him. It is beyond belief in some ways.
It's also, I mean, are we sure that he's on are you, like, what would you put your percentage gut feeling on if he's on a team on opening day? Do you think 100%, he is signed?
100%. I think 100% someone signs him. I don't think I mean, again, he's 27 years old. He's 3 years removed from being an MVP. He's a great defender in center. He's a good base runner. And he's only, I can't imagine, unless some team is weird and dumb enough to offer him a multi-year deal, he's only going to cost you, maybe $15 million for a year. It's not really that much.
Well, do you think he's okay with that? I think is the other
yeah.
part
Well,
of
I think that has to be the play, because again, no one's going to give him a multi-year deal right now, and if they did, it'd be some kind of multi-year buy low type thing, either with something with a club option based on plate appearances or something closer to like a 224 type deal or something. That's not going to interest him. I think the goal here is to, sign somewhere, ideally with a contender, try to figure out a bounce back offensively, have that good season, re-enter the market next winter, and try to find that multi-year deal then. I think he can do it. At least I think he can get that 1 year deal. I don't think that should be a problem. But if you were to ask me my, 0 to 100, my guess that he returns to some level of that 2019 player, I mean, it's got to be like 40% maybe. That feels optimistic,
Who do you think is the starting center fielder for the Dodgers on opening day?
That's a tough one. I mean, if you look at our roster resource depth charts on Fangraphs right now, they have it as, I believe it's going to be Chris Taylor, although I don't think he's probably not good enough defensively to play center field on the regular, and also a guy who can't really stay healthy anyway, and also a guy who offensively has not really done much in the last couple seasons, thanks in large part to that injury history. But I don't know. I could see maybe Nimmo, but I don't really know that the Dodgers are going to want to buy on the decline years that are coming for that. I mean, Judge would be fascinating, but I think if the Dodgers sign Judge, it is to put him in right field and then move Mookie Betts to second base, which is also insane and wild to me. But hey, yeah. So right now, per our roster resource depth charts, the starting center fielder is Trayce Thompson, which is just not. It's not going to be Trayce Thompson. Yeah. That is. I will bet every dollar I have now and every dollar I make in the future that the Dodgers opening day center fielder will not be Trayce Thompson unless there's a really, really good left-hander on the mound and they want to play platoons or something. But yeah, and also there's not really a guy coming in their system either. They don't have someone waiting. Michael Busch is not a center fielder. Andy Pages is not a center fielder. They need to get some kind of outside solution there. I mean, maybe they want to try Gavin Lux there again, depending what they do at shortstop. I mean, look, when we get to the Dodgers eventually in our offseason stuff, like there's a lot the Dodgers need to do. There are a lot of question marks in this lineup and in this rotation and all over this roster right now, where they're kind of in this little period where I don't know how much help they're going to get filling those positions internally. I think they can get some good depth internally in guys like Busch or Bobby Miller or Pages or Gavin Stone or Ryan Pepiot, but I don't really see the starting center fielder on opening day on this roster right now, unless they go insanely cheap at the position and just decide that, hey, maybe we will just run with Trayce.